Hi, I'm Vanessa, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Words by Vanessa. Today we're going to be talking about gratitude. And what is this? So when you look it up in the dictionary, which I will give you the definition, and I have readers because ever since I turned 45, I swear my eyes went up, boop, 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 and now here we are, I got glasses. Gratitude, what does it mean? It is a noun, thankful and being grateful. Over the past 21 years of my having 3 children, we have gone through many ups and downs. And sometimes gratitude is the only thing that makes me hang on to a day. I have to find something good in a day because sometimes amidst despair and hardship, I have always been the person that can find a little gold thread or silver lining in anything that we do. So gratitude is something that's very important to me. It's something that I do every single day. I have a ritual that I commence every single day, and I'll show you at the end of the day the 2 things that I do every single day. The other thing that I do in conjunction to that is every other day I run or I walk 3, 5, or 6 miles. It helps me clear my head. It helps me get out some of that aggression that, as mothers we have. And because I like to eat, it helps me keep in shape. And the most important thing that I do also is that I have a mantra that I say when I run, and it helps me to be centered with myself. It helps me to find peace within myself and the inner strength that I can tap into on those days that it's a little bit rougher than others. So I'm going to share an experience with you that happened when my son and I first moved here, and how at the end I was so grateful for what I have done my whole life because it came full circle. And at the end you'll have a full understanding of what happened. So my son has been in 4 different apartments in the past 4 years that he's been here. Of those 4 different apartments, he spent 102 consecutive days in PIVA, which is the psychiatric intensive ward here in Sweden. And the reason why is because he was kicked out of his 3rd apartment, which is a terrible, terrible thing. And I will tell you a little bit of the story, but there's so much more in depth that we can go through over our many, many episodes together. So the reason why he got kicked out is because there was no consistency. And the things that I think are important for my son and the things that I have raised him, how I have raised him, has always been with 4 pillars that I consider the most important. Accountability, parental accountability, or caregiver accountability. Nutrition, behavior modification, and vitamin therapies. These are the things that have sustained us for the past of his 21 years. He was diagnosed when he was 2, and we have implemented this since he was probably 5, 6 years old, and has done incredibly well for us. So I'm going to go through and explain some of these things for you so you have a better understanding that I can explain to you. So the Evergreen Center, which you can look up online, he has some amazing information, and his whole philosophy, it's about growing healthy children in a changing world. And one of the things that he talks about is supplement suggestions, which we have followed with Zachary. The other thing that I have done with Zachary when he was 6 is that we actually went to the Pfeiffer Institute, which you will find in Naperville, Chicago. The 4 years after he was diagnosed, which he was 2, I was scrambling to gather information. 1995, 1997, 98, 99, autism wasn't a commonplace. It wasn't something that everybody was familiar with as it is now. So the information was, you had to hunt for it. And there wasn't everything in one place. You can kind of figure out a formula that works best for you and for your family. So I did a lot of research. And I was so thankful for his father that he was always so good about making sure that whatever I implemented in my home, that he implemented in his home, and we implemented at school and also with his grandparents and our friends. So it made it a very consistent circle for him, which is so important for children. So back to the Evergreen Center. So Dr. John Green has an amazing philosophy when it comes to children, which is the same philosophy that I learned individually, picking up pieces by myself, and also was solidified when I went to the Pfeiffer Institute in Chicago, and they were able to They were able to show me everything that I have learned a little bit at a time, how to put it in one small little package and how to implement it and how to be consistent with it, which was very beneficial, which is exactly what Dr. Green does at the Evergreen Center. So I'll tell you, when it comes to vitamin therapies, as I said, these are some of the suggestions that he offers. You have zinc, omegas, vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, and calcium. And you ask me, why do kids need this? Well, let me tell you why. Zinc has been shown to improve in sleep, in immune functions, skin, growth, and sometimes it's an appetite. It's an appetite stimulator, so it makes food taste good. With cod liver oil or omega-3s, it improves eye contact. It decreases those strange eye movements. It decreases agitation, hyperactivity, and enhances skin and immune defense. Vitamin D has a major importance when it comes to immunity, as does vitamin C. Magnesium has been proven to be helpful with relaxation, to help with sound sensitivity, with sleep, and with bowel movements. And calcium may also be used for calming, which is great. So when you look at the 4 pillars for us in our household, which is nutrition, vitamin therapies, the vitamin therapies falls right in line. And you can look it up online as well as speak with your doctors about what's best for you. Behavior modification being the most important thing. Now, behavior modification is the super big bougie word for what our parents did for us. Do you remember when you did something that your parents didn't care too much for and they took the TV away from you? And I promised you, you didn't do that again. That in its most simplest form is behavior modification. My son and I, time out, he hates it. I love it. I think it's a fantastic thing. When I do positive behavior modification, which is when I want to, sometimes time out gets too much. Sometimes you want to be happy and be positive and reinforcement, and my son loves a high five. So for example, you've seen my dog King, and we've had many dogs in his lifetime. And he pets them in a rough way and they don't like it, I put him in timeout. And the next time when I see him doing really nice and petting the dog very nicely, I go, high five, that's very good, because that's positive reinforcement. And that's also a form of behavior modification. So in its simplest form, there you go. When it comes to nutrition, which I think is so important for myself, for the whole family in general, but most importantly for my autistic son. I can tell you, when I was young, my mother always cooked a meal every single night. It was chicken or steaks or fish or salad. It was something very good and very healthy. When I got older and I had my own children, I did the same thing. And then sometimes you're just freaking tired and you don't want to cook. You know what I'm saying? I sure didn't want to cook. McDonald's is a fantastic thing. Or frozen chicken fingers from, or frozen fish sticks from the freezer. Oh my God, so easy with mac and cheese. Talk to me. I know, right? So easy. But let me tell you, he would have the worst diarrhea. I mean, it came out of him like water. And it made me feel like the worst parent ever because I was being so lazy. In the long run, I can tell you, eating healthy, clean, or like they like to call low-glycemic diet is the best thing for autistic children because they don't deal with those allergies. They don't have gluten intolerances. They don't have things going on with the intestines. But you know what? You can look that up. You don't need me telling you because you know what's going on. And as a parent, putting it all together, that is parental accountability. So we've talked about 4 pillars, right? Accountability for caregivers and parents, nutrition, behavior modification, and vitamin therapies, and how I have implemented it in my own life and have been consistent. So let me tell you about this terrible story and why I was able to find the silver lining in it, because at the end of the day, it proved that what I have been doing with my son for 18 years is the right thing to do. So I am so blessed to live in a country that has independent housing for special needs people. So the downside to independent housing is that being individual people, they can do whatever the heck they want. And as a caregiver, you have to respect their wants and needs. So although I might want nutrition therapies, accountability, nutrition and behavior modification. It's not necessarily part of the stream as a caregiver. And especially when it's something that's done with public funding, you're not always going to find the best people that do what they're supposed to do. So Zachary has lived in 4 different apartments, which sucks. The third time, he lived in it for like 2 weeks and he was kicked out and there was no other place for him to live. So he was sent to PIVA, which PIVA is the psychiatric intensive care ward here in Sweden for Cocoa Puff people. Now, I'm not down talking anybody that's has mental disabilities and has to be in that kind of place. However, my son is autistic. He does not have any kind of he doesn't have a necessity to be in a psychiatric ward. It was only there because there was no other place to place him. So with that said, I will tell you what the silver lining was. He was there for 102 days and I was absolutely ballistic, as was he. It was a terrible, terrible situation. The one good thing about it was that because he was there with nurses and nurses' aides that follow the basic plan for people with special needs, which is consistency. It is about being accountable. It is about nutrition. It is about making sure that he didn't get to take vitamins there, but he did take his medication every day there. And he surely had to deal with behavior modification because those nurses weren't putting up with crap. And what's great about it is that they noticed that he was having diarrhea because he was eating like everybody else. And I said, listen, he can't have regular food. He needs to be on a gluten-free and dairy-free diet, or he's going to have water coming out of his butt like it's going right now. And the doctor looked at me and said, all right, no worries. He wrote a prescription and he had a gluten-free, dairy-free diet. 2 days, cleared up his system. There was no problem. Mental acuity, he was straight back on point. And even though he had no place to go, it was like the perfect little experiment to prove what he's been living his whole entire life. And here in a confined space where there was nothing else it could do, and it's written down and accounted for every day, it proved my point. That as parents, we have to listen to ourselves and we have to know that what we do is in the best interest of our children. So even though it was a horrific time in our life, it was an amazing experience. And it was something that has now been implemented in his 4th apartment, in which he's doing an amazing job because he has a schedule on the board. There is accountability for the caregivers as well as for himself. He has nutrition, which they do a low-glycemic diet, which is basically clean eating, no gluten, dairy-free, fantastic. They're implementing vitamin therapies now in conjunction with the 2 medications that he takes, as well as behavior modification. Because I tell you, he doesn't like timeout. And timeout there is if he does something that he's not supposed to do, the staff leaves and they leave him alone for 5 minutes. And then when they come back, he says, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done what I did. And he's definitely, remorseful. Now he might do it again the next day, but that's a different topic. It's important that now he's in a place where he has the consistency. And I just talked to him on the phone before I got on here with y'all, and he's thriving and he's happy. And I think this is so important. So when I say out of despair, there's always hope and happiness, that for me was our lesson in being grateful and thankful, because out of a terrible situation, as I said, it came full circle to prove the fact that as a mother, I was right. And this is what we have to do. And now we're doing it. So here I am in front of my Buddha. And I told you that I would share with you 2 rituals that I do every day that guide me in putting myself in a place that I am centered, that I feel like I'm able to take on anything that happens in the day. It allows me to find peace within myself so I can be of service to help others in whatever they might need or whatever I might need. So this is what I do. I light an incense and I light a votive. And I always say thank you for this amazing life that I live, and guide me in being the best I can be each and every day to help people in whatever they might need. So that's the first thing that I do. I'm going to show you the second thing that I do now. So this is our bedroom. And this is the second ritual that I do every single day. Before I go to bed, before I read my books, because right now I'm reading John Steinbeck's East of Eden, and I'm learning how to meditate. What I do before I do all of that, after I've taken a shower, after I've brushed all my teeth, I sit down here and I have a gratitude journal. It could be any type of notebook. It could be fancy. It could be, 5 things from Walmart notebooks, easy breezy. And I take my pen, and as you can see, I write it in every day, and I write 5 things which I'm grateful for each and every day. And I tell you, sometimes it could be super hard. It could be that I made dinner. It could be that I gave my children a kiss goodbye. It could also be that I, ran 7 kilometers in a great amount of time. Sometimes when I go see my son, it makes me very sad because I do feel as a mother sometimes that I feel like I've let him down in the short, terrible sightedness of me. In the long run, I know the best place for him is to be in his apartment and have an amazing independent life. So when I see him sometimes and he's having a super crappy day, it really affects me. And I'm able to write down that I'm happy that he's in a place that he's well cared for. Other days he's doing a dynamic, like when we spoke on the phone just before you and I started filming today. He was so excited. He's telling me about everything that he did today. His mind was so clear and he was so on point. And of course, my gratitude journal, I'm going to be talking about that. So now you know the 2 things that I do every single day that keep me centered and allow me to be focused and be able to be of service. I hope you like it. And you know what? If you haven't done it, try it. So this is what I got to tell you today. What's my takeaway? My takeaway is, as I always tell you, everything has to be done with love. You have to have patience, and you have to be you have to have a confidence in yourself to speak your mind and do what is best for your children. Secondly, it's Thursday. Every Thursday, I'm going to have a little morsel of goodness to talk to you or share with you, or you share with me, and I'm going to share with everybody else, because at the end of the day, that is the purpose of this show, is for us to share information, to cut the learning curve in half for the rest of us. Finally, as I always tell you, be good, and don't forget to put a little bit of love into it.